Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, the mob is back, and Geoff Schumacher of the Mob Museum joins us for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Welcome to the Ahern Boutique Hotel, where luxury and warmth come together in the heart of Las Vegas.
We take pride in offering a one-of-a-kind experience for both locals and tourists.
Join us for handcrafted cocktails and an unforgettable experience.
Joel's Chop House, the perfect place to savor views of the Las Vegas Strip.
Satisfy your cravings at the Ahern Chocolate Shop.
No smoking, no resort fees, and the parking is always free. The Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel is your home away from home.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain, moving 95% of our freight in the Silver State. And while essential, the road isn't always smooth. Supply chain disruptions, rising fuel costs, and unrealistic rules and laws that hamper our ability to serve our customers and country. Our prosperity in every sector of the economy, manufacturing, mining, medicine, and food from farm to table, is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the Ahern Hotel, right next door to the Naked City in Las Vegas, and not too far from the Mob Museum in downtown Las Vegas. We are delighted to welcome back to the program Geoff Schumacher, who's Vice President of Exhibits and Programs at the Mob Museum. So you're going to have to lay all this out, but all of a sudden, the Eastern District of New York, federal prosecutors laid out a whole ton of indictments of people across the country, including places like Manhattan and Las Vegas, regarding criminal activity. We had all thought the mafia only existed in the movie Casino. Not so.
So the mob never went away, especially in New York. You know, the five families of New York famously, so powerful in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, leading up into the John Gotti era of the 1980s, still around in the 90s. We had this perception that after Gotti, they kind of faded away. But in fact, they have been there the whole time. A couple of things happened, though. They decided they kind of got smart. You know, John Gotti was a guy who walked down the street like a celebrity. He wanted the New York Post to take his pictures so they could put it on the front of the tabloid every day. And he was defiant of the government, like, hey, take it on, take me on. He was proud of being a mobster, and he wasn't hiding from that. That turned out to be a mistake. He was convicted, sent to prison, and died in prison. I think the mafia in New York learned from that, and they said, you know what, we need to not be doing that. And the other thing they kind of decided was, we're not going to kill people anymore, or at least not as much as we were. Because when you kill people, that really draws a lot of attention, and it definitely draws law enforcement to your side. So they did a couple of things. They continued to operate quietly, and they stopped killing people. And then externally, they had the advantage of what happened with 9/11. 9/11 turned the attention of the FBI and other agencies, especially in New York, to terrorism. And then you had the rise of domestic terrorism around the country. And so, a lot of law enforcement resources were turned away from the mob toward other things. And when those two things, the combination of the mob getting a little smarter and law enforcement turning its attention away, allowed them to sort of continue to operate quietly. And they were arrested much less, although they still were. And they were less prominent until now with this gambling indictment, which really kind of changes everything.
All right, would you explain the two sides of that?
Yeah. So there are two indictments. The first one focuses on sports gambling. So they identified a basketball player and two NBA basketball coaches, one current and one former, who were involved in essentially, manipulating betting odds. And they would do this by through prop bets, right? So prop bets are like very popular now. How many points is this player going to score in a game? How many rebounds is he going to get in a game? Well, the problem with that is then the potential of a prop bet being manipulated is very high, because that one player could make a decision to, I hurt my leg, come out early, and then if everybody he knows bets the under on the number of points he's going to score, then everybody makes out. It's a little harder to throw a whole game, because then you need all these other players involved. But with a prop bet, you can just be one player. So that's one side of it, is manipulating sports bets. The other side was where the mafia is much more involved, and that has to do with poker games. These are underworld poker games, backroom poker games that have been very common in mob circles for years.
And we should make the point that we're not talking about the casinos on the Strip or any legal casinos.
Where these, in fact, are happening in apartments or in hotel rooms, typically, and they're orchestrated by the mob guys. And a lot of them are on the up and up, in the sense that it's a legitimate game, right? You have a fair chance of winning. That's how most of them are. What they did is they created this subset of games in which they used technology to manipulate the outcomes of the poker game.
Unbelievable technology.
Yeah, I mean, you're using X-ray tables, and they're using all kinds of devices to know what cards the other players have. And the way they set this up is really everybody around the table except the one guy was all in on it. They were all in on it except for one guy, and that guy was typically someone with a lot of money. They coerced or convinced him to come and play in this game, and then they used this technology to win all his money. In one case, a guy lost more than $1 million playing poker in one of these games. Now, these games were mostly played in New York, but there also were games in Las Vegas and in Miami. And, this was a scheme that netted millions of dollars for the mob.
Okay, so some of the stuff was shuffle machines that shuffle the cards. They rigged that so they knew what the order of the cards would be. You mentioned X-ray tables. They also had glasses and contact lenses that could read the back of the cards. So that
they would mark the card, and then the contact lens or whatever, you could see the mark where other people couldn't see it. And it's not that complicated. They've had these contact lenses for cheating at cards for years, but these guys put all of these pieces together, and they were able to to manipulate the outcome.
So what? The reason I called you in the first, I was going to call you anyway, but the reason I called you in particular was you posted a thing on Facebook, which was a great video explaining all of this, just as you have done for us here. What has been the response to you from people around the country?
So people, first of all, the first reaction has been similar to what you started out with, and people are going, "Oh, so the mob's still around?" There's a lot of people who figure that they're gone. And they are gone from a lot of cities. You're not seeing a lot of mobsters in, Cleveland or in Kansas City anymore, where they used to be prominent. But they're still around in New York. They're still in Philadelphia. They're still in Chicago, and still in Detroit. We know this. And they're involved in all kinds of mostly white-collar schemes of one kind or another. Again, as I mentioned, they're not, hurting people as much as they used to. But interestingly, one part of this poker scam was that one of the mob's jobs was to collect debts. So if somebody lost more money than they had in their pocket, they had to make sure they collected that money, and the mob was responsible for that. The indictments don't talk about somebody being beat up or somebody's leg being broken, but we'll see if that comes out.
You know, there was this thought that when Howard Hughes started buying up casinos all across Las Vegas and then eventually in Reno as well, the corporate gaming was going to push the mob out. Mm-hmm. But in fact, he was ripped off as much by the mob as anybody else, wasn't he?
Well, we think he was. We don't know for sure, but his casinos lost money. It's really unusual in Las Vegas for a casino on the Strip to lose money. There are some arguments that the reason they lost money is because Hughes was not a great operator and that he brought in non-casino people to kind of oversee things. I can see some of that. But in the end, I think there was a lot of money stolen from him, skimmed, as the phrase we use in Las Vegas. And so, yeah, I think that did happen for a while. You know, eventually the mob was forced out of Las Vegas. The corporations did take over, but it took, a good 15 years after Hughes's arrival for the federal government, the state government, the local police to really get a handle on this skimming and pushing the mob out.
Okay, so that pushes them out of the gaming industry. But were they not involved, and potentially still today involved, in things like loan sharking and prostitution and things like that weren't part of the gaming world but were ancillary to it?
Yes, I think there were still mob hangers-on, if you will, in Las Vegas well into the late 80s, the 90s. Even today, there's probably some 70, 80-year-old mob guys hanging around Las Vegas. We kind of know that. Some are truly retired. Maybe they're in a nursing home. Other people maybe are still active to some extent, typically with something going on back east. But Las Vegas, I think, is not an epicenter for mob activity anymore, for traditional mob activity. But you still see, obviously, a lot going on in New York.
I was raised in the West End of London in the nightclub industry. And there we had the influence back in those days of the Maltese Mafia. Certainly the Russian Mafia was involved as well. Do we have pieces of that in Las Vegas as well?
I think we do. I think one of the things you saw really as the traditional mob, the Italian American mob sort of, was just decimated by prosecutions and infighting in the 90s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. You saw the rise in New York in particular of the Russian Mafia, the Albanian Mafia, all these sort of ethnic groups, Chinese triads. You saw these different groups kind of ascending while the traditional Italian mob was descending. Meanwhile, like the Jewish mob was kind of out of it by then. They moved on to doing other things. But as far as Las Vegas is concerned, I think you definitely have seen Asian influence here in different ways. You've seen Russian mob from time to time, Eastern European. We had a big case 15, 20 years ago with the Bulgarian mob in Las Vegas. So they do kind of raise their heads above the water every so often.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back much more with Geoff Schumacher after this time out.
You're in trouble with the law. It's easy to think you'll lose everything, but there is hope. I'm attorney Orrin Johnson. Your first step is to hire a serious attorney with the experience to successfully navigate the legal system for you.
Sometimes hope means addiction treatment instead of jail, and making sure you're treated fairly.
Sometimes hope means fearless trial attorneys will stand up to the government when they get it wrong. Call or text Orrin Johnson Law.
We'll make a plan.
You'll take back your life.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Geoff Schumacher of the Mob Museum. We're talking about the indictments that came down in New York. My understanding from a source tells me that this investigation was going on for 4 years. So are there more shoes to drop in this?
You know, I think there are. There had to have been more of these, what they called face cards. When I talk about a face card, that's what the people involved in this scheme called the celebrity athletes, who were basically used to lure people to the games, right? So, these players were, the chance to play poker with a sort of a famous basketball player or football player was a draw. And so they called these guys face cards. Well, we're slowly, you're seeing trickle out some other names, and I think eventually over time we're going to hear more names of people who were involved in this. And that doesn't mean they even knew what was going on necessarily, right? They may have been a face card without really knowing that they were helping abet this, this scam. I don't know. We'll find out.
So potentially they were being paid a fee to show up at a game, but not necessarily knowing that there was criminal activity surrounding that game. And boy, is that going to be hard for the law enforcement to be able to figure out who was really in and who really wasn't.
I think that's true for law enforcement, for sure, for the prosecutors. But if a name comes forward, comes up, and that person is still a professional basketball player or a professional football player or what have you, it could be very bad for them. I mean, they could end up being kicked out of the league, right? They could be suspended for their involvement. So I think there are risks on multiple levels for people who are involved in this. I also think that this is going to draw a lot of scrutiny toward prop bets and whether it's a good idea, for us, when I say us, for the gaming industry to offer prop bets because of the risk of abuse. And this, of course, is a much bigger problem with offshore betting than it is with Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, the prop bets are, sure, there are prop bets on individual players, but it would be like the star player, right? So how many points is LeBron James going to score in a game? That is something that would be hard for LeBron James or someone close to him to manipulate. He's just too famous, and why would he care anyway? He's so rich, it doesn't matter. But if you're like the sixth man or the eighth man on the bench, and you were going to come in later in the game, and the prop bet says you're going to score at least 4 points, you could probably find a way to make sure you only score 3 points, or that you make sure you score 5 points, right? So I think those are the kind of prop bets that are mostly available offshore, and those are, ways that people can bet on much more exotic things. In fact, there are bets in other places where you can bet on elections. You can bet on all kinds of things that you cannot bet on in Nevada.
The legendary gambler who was based in Las Vegas for many years, Billy Walters, yes, had incredible investigations of everything to be able to figure out how his syndicate would gamble. How does that compare with this? Obviously, and Billy would certainly say this if he was said, not illegal from his perspective, but how does it compare to what you're talking about with these prop bets?
Yeah, so I think we're really talking about with Billy Walters, and what we see today are professional sports bettors, right? And what they do is they study this stuff way more than we do. And they study the numbers, they crunch the numbers, they probably drop the numbers into all kinds, I know they do, they drop into all kinds of formulas that they've created that help them to make the best bets that they can. Now, Billy Walters did this in the 90s, as I understand it, and got in trouble for it.
Right.
But now there are hundreds of these professional sports bettors doing the very same thing. and it's legal. So, but what they're not doing, as far as I know, is they're not reaching out to these players or reaching out to people who know the players and trying to manipulate the outcome of a game. That's a very different thing.
All right, let's take another break. More with Geoff Schumacher from the Mob Museum after this timeout.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
It's the most wonderful time to win during the $125,000 Holiday Cash Frenzy at Tamarack Casino. Every Saturday, unwrap thousands in cash and free play. Don't miss the grand finale December 27th. We're gifting $20,000 in cash guaranteed. 'Tis the season for good times at Tamarack Casino.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. Our community is our foundation. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Geoff Schumacher. He's the Vice President of Exhibits and Programs at the excellent Mob Museum in downtown Las Vegas. If people haven't visited yet, my wife and I went there the last trip down to Vegas, and we had the best time, and I got the T-shirts.
Oh, very good.
All right, so where is this heading, and what do you think the response is going to be from the legal gaming world when, you know, the Gaming Control Board in Nevada and the Gaming Commission consider themselves to be the gold standard? What role do they play in this when it's not actually affecting their casinos?
Yeah, I think that the first thing is where this is going to go legally is they're going to prosecute these individuals. And so you're going to start seeing the faces of these mob guys from the 4 different New York families that were involved. Some of them have a lineage dating back to more famous fathers and grandfathers who were involved in the mob that people have heard of. So that'll be big news in the mafia world, the mob world, to see what these guys look like and how they plead and the court cases and how they describe what happens, who will flip, who will not. It's going to be fascinating, I think, to watch this play out on the mob side. On the sports side, I think there's going to be discussion in Nevada about what effect this case might have on the policies and the practices in Nevada. Now, Nevada is known, Las Vegas in particular, sportsbooks are known for being the best police of this kind of thing in the world. They're always looking for unusual betting patterns. They're very good at rooting out, potential cheaters or people trying to manipulate the betting lines. And they've done that time and again. You've heard about a particular game being taken off the board because the sports books have found something irregular about the betting. And so they're pretty good about that. I do think that they probably are going to redouble their efforts now to make sure that these things are detected when they happen. As for policies, we'll see. The NFL, the Major League Baseball, the NBA have embraced gambling in the last 10 years.
Yes, they have
absolutely embraced it. They are part of it. They are part and parcel of this industry now, where not so long ago, they wanted nothing to do with it. And suddenly when they turned all the way around and said, not only are we okay with it, but we love it, we want it. And now they're seeing some of the side effects of that. And this is not just this case, right? There have been other smaller cases that have come up recently. There have been a spate of suspensions of college ball players for being involved in gambling activities, and I think it's an issue. I mean, there's the whole issue of problem gambling. You know, these when you can gamble on, you know, bet on your phone, it makes it really easy to spend a whole lot of money in a short amount of time. And, you know, if you're a problem gambler, you know, there's not a lot of effort it takes for you to lose lose everything. So I definitely think that's something that people have to take a hard look at as well.
Adam Silver was shocked at the news. It was interesting to see that. This wasn't a Casablanca situation with there's gaming back there.
Well, I think he should. If he acted shocked, he shouldn't have, because I think he was given a heads up about this. That's the impression I have. Because only like 2 days before the indictments, he was saying something about being concerned about these very things happening. I think that these leagues are going to be having just a little soul searching to figure out, you know, where they go forward with this.
And that's where we have to leave this for now. Please come back as soon as we hear more. I'll be calling you to have you come back and fill us in.
We'll be following closely.
Thank you, sir. And this was a great interview with Geoff Schumacher. He is the Vice President of Exhibits and Programs at the Mob Museum. And as I said earlier, if you haven't been, it is one of the best things to visit in Las Vegas. And you won't lose your shirt. You can actually buy one.
You can buy one.
Thanks for doing this, man. We'll be right back.
This holiday season, say aloha to winning big with the Carson Valley Inn's $250,000 Hawaiian holiday giveaways. Unwrap the fun with $500 Southwest gift cards and mini vacations every Saturday. And $60 grand in grand prize Hawaiian vacations or cash. The islands are calling, only at the Carson Valley Inn.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
We wouldn't steer you wrong with the gold standard of steaks at Joel's Chop House. Indulge in dry-aged steaks, seafood, Wagyu tomahawks, and great views of the Strip.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com. Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the Ahern Hotel in Las Vegas. As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com. You can also download the podcasts from your favorite podcast app. We'll see you on the next broadcast.